Think it's live. Okay. So you're feeling ready to get back out there, or you're not, or you're questioning whether or not you want to move on, or what it's like, or how, or when, or what to do when it comes to dating again after being in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So people have asked that I talk about this a little, and so I'm going to. This is an answer to a viewer's question, a couple of questions actually. So I'm just going to kind of combine them all together, talk about this topic: dating again after being in a toxic relationship. Scary, right? For a lot of people, or not worth the time, or just something you're not interested in. Totally okay. Totally okay to not ever want to do it again. And it's also okay to want to move on with your life in the way that would include another person. So, um, yes. Hey, Jack. Sorry. Click, click. it was it was impromptu. Someone just asked me, and I said, "Okay, I'll go right now. I've got 20 minutes. I'll do it." Um, okay. So, and hey, Sunny. So let's talk about that. Is it what they said is it really? I keep hearing. They said to me, I keep hearing that it's absolutely necessary that you be as healed as you possibly can before you move on and try and date. Is that true? My answer to that is yes and no. Okay, it's obviously the more healed you are, well, maybe not obviously, but if you think about it, the more healed you are, the better you are toward a relationship. The more energy you have for a relationship, the less sensitive you are to things that could go wrong in a relationship, right? Um, and the less you are vulnerable to things like attracting another narcissist. Meaning, if you attract one, you're going to boot them out as quick as you found them, right? If you're the more healed you are. However, being healed is not a magical thing that like you can one day you're not healed, the next day you're healed, or like something you can measure. It's not something you can say. It's not like you cut your finger, you can see you still have a little cut there, so it's not quite healed. Oh, look, it's got a little bit left. It's still tender. It's not quite healed, and then one day it's healed. It's not like that, right? It's we psychologically learn to cope. We learn to tolerate the feelings that we have. We learn to move on even though we're feeling trauma bonded, even though, so a lot of it is it takes a really long period of time for a lot of us to get from where we are after a discard to what we would call healed, right? And there's so many variations within there, and there's so much room for like maybe you're healed, but then in some parts of your life you're not. So it's a tricky one to answer, because so my answer is no. Honestly, you don't have to be 100% healed, because you're not, for the most part, going to be. There's going to be scars, there's going to be triggers, there's going to be past traumas. If you've got CPTSD, that's something you live with and you learn to cope with. I would say that if you can get your healing, um, how do I want to word this? Your healing team in place, whatever that means to you, whether it's therapy or coaching, whether it is self help things, group support, a friend, something from church, something from a community group, whatever it is that you have like a healing team around you, having a life that is very supportive of your healing, meaning it's positive, it keeps you moving forward, it keeps you from going back to the narcissist, things like that. If you have those things in place, your chances are better at having a successful dating life and hopefully new relationship that is not toxic, right? What are we saying here? Because I don't have months to waste on healing. 36 and want a family, so scared. Okay, L, is it L or L? L, I think. Hello, Ellen. Hello, L, and hello, Adam. Um, okay. Um, so here's the thing. If you don't feel like you have a lot, like you don't want to waste time, get your healing active. Get moving with your healing. Start working toward your self-esteem building, your self-worth building, learning to have self-care. Okay, in a relationship with anyone, self-care goes out the window half the time. So if you can learn through this experience of being with someone toxic how to have a really solid self-care, know what works for you. know the things that work for you, know the things you need, and stick with them. Your chances are better at being able to succeed in a healthy relationship later on, and also maintain a healthy self, right? Because the whole point isn't like just to move on and cling to someone else and like make it have them make it better. The point is we got to make ourselves better so that the rest of our life flows the direction we're hoping to make it flow, right? Okay. What is going on? Something's happening. Um, okay. I'm not reading chat real well there because I'm on a talking. So if there's a question, just repeat it. Okay. Um, no, this is somebody else's topic, but if this was his topic, then yes. There, I found the question. Okay. So so here's the thing. One thing I want to say is you know yourself, and you're learning to know yourself, and you're discovering more about yourself, right? One thing we do when we're healing from toxic relationships is we discover who we are. We discover parts of ourselves we didn't know. We heal the parts of ourselves from our past that we needed to, right? A lot of us discover that we had had toxic upbringings. I have so many people I talk to who, it is not by suggestion, it is not by being led in any direction, because that's not how I work with people, right? It's just them talking, and what they discover in their own life is that they had toxic upbringings, and they go, "Oh my gosh, does this sound bad? Because I always thought it was normal." And I'll say, "Well, is not, like." And the more they say, you can hear the toxicity of their parents or of their upbringing. Something in there happened. So you start healing those things, and then you're actually making progress toward a healthier relationship than you would have had you never even had that toxic person in your life, that narcissist that was your romantic partner. Does that make sense? Because you're able to now look at the big picture, which is the whole life and the things you needed to heal before you even met that narcissist. Does that make sense? So if you start working on those things, that doesn't mean you have to be like there's no way to measure it. How do you say, okay, I have abandonment issues? Okay, so now what? So are they healed? Sure, when I'm by myself, I'm fine, right? When you get back in relationship, are they healed? Heck no. They will come up, they will rear their ugly heads. That the traumas that we've had in our past, when you're in something healthy, will be there. That's the thing. If you but so what is healthy? What is healed in me? What is healed in me there is my ability to cope with it, my ability to see it, my ability to own it, that that's mine and that I need to work on it, and my ability to see the red flags in the other person, and to see if there are any, right? And to see if what I'm receiving back when I offer vulnerability about this topic is something that supports the relationship healing and both of our well-being. Does that make sense? That kind of healing is in action, right? It's in action. So if you're a person that wants a relationship, keep working with your therapist, keep working with your coach, keep talking it through while you go through this process, because even if you found like the perfect person and you're like, "Oh, everything's wonderful and there's no toxic, no nothing, you guys are great together." Things start to come up. The more the trust opens up, the more in a new relationship, the more the bonding happens, the more the love, the more real love happens. Not the love of being trauma bonded and not the love of a toxic person, but like real love. The more that happens, the more vulnerable you are, the scarier it gets, the more your psyche is able to open up in that relationship, and these things start coming up. Okay, and I don't know how to qualify what healed is when I talk about it like that. Does that make sense? Because perfectly healed would be, oh yes, I used to be triggered by that, but I no longer am. But know absolutely no one who feels that way. They pretty much go, yeah, it's hard. It's hard in a new thing, and it's hard when it is healthy. It is. However, you have this, if you have the skills and like I said, the support team, your healing support team, someone to turn to, your own self-worth, your own self-care, super important. Then you have somewhere to go when the things come up, and you can not bring it to the new relationship quite so heavily. And then you become the one that's not good in the relationship, right? So to not do that, we have to have all those other things in place, I think. Am I making sense? It's like a topic that's without direct questions. I'm kind of talking really generally. Okay. Let's see what you guys are saying and we'll talk some more. Oops. Somebody is asking about videos. Okay. Is there a way to warn potential dates about what? About what you've been through? I wouldn't. Why? Why would you? Do you want to know everyone when you meet them? Do you want to know all their baggage? I don't. In fact, keep it to yourself. Tell me slowly over time and be honest and transparent without dumping it on me. Right? Believe me, been there. I cannot tell you how many people, I don't know if it's just who I am without even asking, without just showing up like, hey, what's up? And I would get the entire stories, the drama. I mean, I met so many abuse survivors. It was crazy. And I mean, I had one person, I said, look, if you keep going this way, I'm going to have to charge you for an hour of coaching because it's what you're asking me to do. Right. So, no, I wouldn't warn anyone. I would just be myself and I would watch myself. And if I wasn't good, if I wasn't ready because I saw myself getting like hyper attached too soon or overly triggered or feeling like I'm second guessing the person without giving them a chance, if I was too skeptical, too hard, too, like, you know what I'm saying? If I saw that it was stuff that I needed to work on, I'd pull back and work on those things. And you don't know until you're there, right? You don't know until you start doing it. A lot of people start dating and they go, or start making friends. It doesn't have to be romantic, right? And then they go, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for this. And here's why. And they'll list a bunch of things. A lot of people, here's the number one. Okay. The number one sign, I think, that you are not ready to date. You are doing this as a diversion to get over the trauma bonds. If you're dating to get over the trauma bonds, I have yet to see it work. Okay. It is it's an unfortunate thing getting over the trauma bonds and getting through the missing of that narcissist and through that part of the healing, the initial part of the healing. It's super important. And if you skip over it, you're bringing the baggage to the next person. And it isn't really fair to that person. You're not ready. Okay. I can't tell you if you're ready or not. That's up to you. But that would make me feel like if somebody asked me, I'd say, you're probably not ready yet. You're still looking back to that other person and you should want to enter into something um in a fair way to give that person a chance, right? Okay. Let's see, is there a way to, what else are we asking? Triggers about triggers, yes. Okay. Working on healing for 5 years. I have several narcissists during that time. When I finally did self-care and stood up for myself, I learned I don't need a man. I want a healthy man. Exactly. It's another sign you're not ready. You feel like you need it. You need it, or you aren't going to be able to make it to the next minute type of thing, right? Or you need it like it's a desperation. You can seriously want something for your life and you can have a like, I want children. I'm 35. I want children, like not me, but well beyond that. But that somebody might say that, right? And sure, that isn't the same as I need a man to make it better. I need a woman to show me that I'm lovable, or I need, you know what I'm saying? It's a different type of life goal, right? So you're right. You have to want a healthy partner, or at least a person that understands that it takes effort to be a healthy partner, right? Okay. Heal first, or you will keep picking the wrong people. And that's what I mean here, Sunny, is what does that even mean? I think that there's so many stages and layers to this healing that yes, you have to heal that initial part. Too many people I see sadly just jumping into the next thing to alleviate their pain. And and I mean, I'm sure it can work for some people, but for most people, it can get them into trouble or hurt another person, right? Um, as much as possible, do the work. Yeah. And so what is that work? Right? It's being able to be okay by yourself, even if that's how it's gonna be. Right. And meeting people with the mindset of what do you actually want for your life? What kind of person do you want to be around? What are the qualities? Not what can they do for me, not what do they, you know what I mean? Like, but deeper stuff. Like, don't stop at things like, I want someone who's good at communicating. Because I'll tell you what, narcissists are great at communicating. Yeah, I said that. But what they aren't good at is communicating in a healthy way. They can talk and give you a load of word salad for and communicate, in other words, spit words out at you in a communicative kind of way for hours. But that's not healthy communicating, right? So be specific. I want someone, because you know, you meet a narcissist, they seem, a lot of them, the more covert and the more communal, will seem like they communicate well. They'll have all the right words. They'll know how to keep the conversation going. They'll act interested in you. It's somebody that can communicate well, that can listen deeply. It can, so get specific, right, with what you're talking about. That's another topic, but so we're talking more about, am I ready versus am I not ready to move on in another relationship or even with friendships, right? Because so it's, yeah, okay, let me read what you guys are saying a little and then we'll talk about trust. Don't mean to spill the trauma drama. I just mean, Lise, how does one warn dates about CPTS triggers? I wouldn't warn a date. I would warn someone I'm choosing to be in a relationship with, or I'm choosing to take it to the next level. Dating in the beginning should be getting to know a person, I think, slowly. It should be watching how they behave, how they talk, the things they talk about, the interests they have. It should be lighter and way less heavy. People want to, we're deep people. We are people who don't want to deal with any more BS, right? And we don't want surface relationships. We want connection, because we've been lacking the connection for so long, right? But you can't jump into connection. If you try to jump into connection, you're going to end up with someone that is probably psychopathic, right? Because they are using that as the hook. Or somebody's super codependent, and that can be equally difficult, right? So you got to be careful with too much too soon. I wouldn't warn a date. I would warn so if you want to go further and say, how would you warn someone you're interested in, and like maybe it's a friend, okay? So maybe you have a friendship and you're keeping it casual and like, well, obviously it's a friendship, but keeping it on the lighter side, right? Interest based stuff like, oh, we do painting class together. Cool. Yeah, we talk about painting. And you want to take it to the next level of a deeper friendship. How do you then warn the person? I think that would come up naturally in a conversation where you might say something like, whoa, I just got triggered. And they can say, "Oh, why?" You know, and then you just say, "Oh, what? You know, I've had some stuff go on in my life, and every now and then I get triggered, and you know, these I cope with it. It's okay, but it happens." And you know, you keep it lighter, and you keep it uh, lighter, and let the depth grow slowly. Does that make sense? She is going to sit outside the door now and yell at me for not letting her in here. See, I have a house full of baby puppies. Okay, and they're here for another couple weeks, and then they go to their homes. But she's big sister now, and so that is why she is super sass and wants to micromanage everything in the house. Okay. Um, okay. What are we saying? I don't know what's happening. Okay. Taking your time to get to know people, go with your gut always. I saw red flags previously out of desperation. I ignored them. Yep, pay attention. Now I pay attention. Sorry, now I pay close attention and I steer clear of toxic. Awesome, Sunny. Exactly. Um, so let's talk a little bit about, unless so if there was a question, please repeat it. There's a lot of chat that isn't related to this, so I'm trying to skim through and I'm not following. Okay. If you have a question, ask again. um, trust. How to trust again. Why? Why trust again until someone's earned it? You don't have to. What you trust is yourself. You trust your intuition. You trust the red flags you see or don't see. You trust that it's going to take time to get to know someone. If you're dating again, here's the thing we can trust, and this is something that happens a lot when people start dating again or even having friendships again. Um, they may meet someone that they feel is toxic. Person may or may not be. They don't know. They've only known him a month. They don't know. You can, unless some people you know, right? But sometimes you just can't tell. Too many red flags, too many flippy floppy behaviors, acting really, really happy and excited to see you, and then suddenly backing off. Things, like things that just don't feel right. And maybe they hang in there for another couple weeks and see, what's going on, kind of watch. But at the same time, they're kind of attached to this because they've gotten used to the communicating. They've gotten used to the thought of maybe this person will be in my life. And then they decide to break it off because the person says, "No, I can't. I can't deal with this again. I see too many red flags." So they end it. Often, and that's to me, that's a positive. That means you went in, you put yourself out there, you're doing the thing you want to do, which is meet other people, if that's what you're choosing to do. You you gave yourself to the experience openly, you paid attention to the other person, and when you saw stuff, you backed out. And you did it in a pretty swift period of time. Anywhere from 1 to 4 months is perfect, right? Because that's how long it takes to start seeing these red flags, right? So that's how long it can take longer, but that's how long it takes to go slow enough to see sort of what's going on a little bit, right? But what the problem is because of the triggers we have and the way we feel about ourselves and the issues we have from the toxic other person that we had in our life, the narcissist, we see that as a failure. We see that as I'm a narcissist magnet. I attract only toxic people. I did it again. I fell for another one. That isn't that, you guys. That is life. You go out, you meet people. That's dating. Okay. There's a lot of idiots out there. There's a lot of jerks. There's a lot of people who want to use you. There's a lot of really insecure people who aren't ready to date, right? There's a lot of people who are wishy-washy, who don't know what they want. There's a lot of mess, okay? And then there's some good people. So if you have that happen, just realize that you can trust yourself now because when you saw it, you backed away from it. You got away from those red flags and you're just moving on. Um, okay. Does one have to warn potential dates about CPTSD triggers? No. How? That's what I said. Well, did I not answer you? I said I wouldn't. I wouldn't unless it's something like really specific that you absolutely need someone to know or you might lose it, right? And if that's the case, you might want to work on how to handle that trigger a little better before you engage in dating, right? So I wouldn't warn any potential anybody about anything about myself. I'd let them discover me, right? I wouldn't. That's giving over vulnerable information to someone you don't know. And you don't know if you warn them now, if that's a covert narcissist you're talking to, they will use that later. They'll be like, "Oh, I so understand. I've had toxic people. My mom was that way. I understand." Or I had a partner that was that way when my last girlfriend, my last boyfriend, whatever. And then they will take that and maybe 6, 9 months, you turn it around and flip it on you because it wasn't real for them. All right. So I wouldn't warn anybody of anything. Um, Prepare to walk away when they break your trust. Absolutely. What if you aren't leaving the narcissist because you worry that you won't find anyone else that you would want you? Here's what I have to say to that. Okay, Elle, get it. I did it. I understand that. 100% personally. I totally understand that. And especially the older you get, right? I'm way older than you are. So I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. You have a 50-50 chance if you walk away from this toxic person in your life, this narcissist, you have a 50-50 chance of finding someone awesome. If you stay with a narcissist, your chance goes to 0 because you're not available. Does that make sense? So your odds are better if you're not with them. Here's the other thing. If I don't like the way you worded that for yourself. So I would work if I were you on wording that a little differently for yourself. Finding anyone else that would want you. That's not being your friend, my friend. How about finding anyone that would be my potentially awesome partner? Finding anyone that would be my match, finding anyone that would be a good fit for me and I for them, right? Anyone that would want you, that makes me feel like self-esteem building might be useful for you, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're with a narcissist, that would be needed, right? So, um, yeah, you gotta want you, that's right, and you gotta realize you're worth it. You are worth having someone really awesome in your life and not dealing with these people, right? Okay. Is a sociopath a narcissist? Yes. A sociopath is a narcissist. Not all narcissists are sociopaths. Sociopaths have narcissistic traits. Let's put it that way. I don't know if they'd be classified as NPD or if they'd go straight to antisocial personality disorder or sociopath. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't do diagnosis, but they have all of the traits of narcissism or most of the traits of narcissism at a high level. So yes, but not all narcissists are sociopath. They also have a sadistic side. A sociopath enjoys pain. They enjoy inflicting pain, watching pain, knowing you're in pain, hurting you, hurting others. They also have a sociopath also has where not all narcissists have this. They have a lawlessness to them where they are above the law, they're above the rules. They don't necessarily have to be like prison worthy, right? Or breaking actual laws. It's more a mindset of being better than or superior to the rules of society. Okay. And then there's a whole lot of other things that I do have a video about the difference between sociopaths and narcissists and sociopaths and malignant narcissists and like the whole all of them. Okay. Um okay, confidence and self-love. People treat you like you treat you. Take advantage of you if you let them. That's not love. I know. Okay. I wasn't healed when I met Helpful Mama, but thankfully, we've been willing to support each other as we and that's beautiful. You've been willing to support each other as you've worked toward healing. And sometimes you fall, sometimes she falls, I would guess, right? And you hold each other up and you scramble and fight and get your way up there. And it's not an easy path to do it that way, right? And it's not always, you're not always so lucky to find a partner that will support you through it and they support you, support them through. But um it's possible, right? And and obviously, can you address trusting intuition again if on a future stream? Trusting intuition again. Yes, we can talk about that a little bit here and then more later. Trusting your so if we're talking about trust again, the situation I described where say somebody meets someone and then 2 months later they realize this person's toxic and they end the relationship, they leave, and then they feel like a lot of times they feel like they failed again, or they just met another narcissist. Everyone out there's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Right. That's not what it is. What that is your intuition woke up and you trusted it and you left. And that's awesome. And that could build, it could build the feeling of being able to trust one's own intuition if you would open up to that idea. All right. Tried to find a video from you on intuition. I couldn't find anything. I think I have them titled. It might have a different title, but I'll have to look. Ask some questions, Jack, specific, and then I'll answer them and see if that gets to what you're talking about. You worried? Okay, this is good from Al. I worry I would have to be perfect before a new relationship. This is what I was starting with. How can we be, right? We got CPTSD, right? How can you be? What you can be is a better version of where you are. If you're feeling like you're not healed, a better version of that. You can have coping skills. You can have a team in place, a network of people. You can know where to turn. Got a therapist. You got a coach. You got someone to turn to if you need it. I mean, I can't. I have talked through my relationship here with a coach and or a therapist the entire time because as healed as I felt I was, as this new thing came into my life, it uh, exposed a lot of areas that weren't healed. Does that make sense? Or it opened up areas that I needed to heal because how do you trust another person after this? So, say you're in a new relationship and someone makes off colored humor at you, uses you as the butt of the joke. It happens, you guys. It's not just toxic people that do it. It's sometimes just ribbing or jabbing at each other, right? And sometimes it's funny. And if you're a humorous person, it can go back and forth and it can happen. Doesn't mean it's toxic. All right. It's when you say, hey, that's hurting my feelings and they don't stop. Or it's when you say, hey, I'm sensitive to that and they don't stop, right? And they do it to hurt you, that it becomes toxic. But say that happens. That's a really basic example. And you tell the person, hey, that I don't like that kind of humor. I get that it was funny and you weren't meaning it, but let's not do that. And they go, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. That doesn't mean that makes it go away. For a while, you feel triggered. Oh my gosh, is this person toxic? Oh my gosh, they're doing it to me again. Why do I deserve it? Your self-esteem starts to tank because you just experienced a repeat of something that happened to you in the toxic relationship that isn't does this make sense? It isn't a toxic person doing it and they didn't mean it in the same way. And you've told them and they have stopped the behavior. So you would think, "Oh, it's better." No, these things come up, they repeat. So what you need, in my opinion, is a place to turn to talk it through, to say, "Hey, they apologize. This obviously isn't a toxic situation as far as I'm seeing, but I'm feeling triggered still. I still feel hurt by it, and I'm the one that can't get over it. Why?" Well, because you've got CPTSD and it reopened something up, and now you've got to deal with it. So that's a kind of a silly example, but it could be anything that makes that happen. It could just be the just being vulnerable with someone is very scary and once you don't realize how scary it is till you're in it. Okay. So having a support system to talk it through with is super helpful because then what happens is you get to do the next level of healing. And you either do it with your partner, as Jack was suggesting, or you do it yourself. Hopefully, you do it yourself 80% or 50 to 80% and less with the partner so that you are the one responsible for your healing, right? Um, unless that's an agreement between you guys. But you're doing the healing of the next level of healing, which is me again as me in a relationship. How do you do that without practice? So yes, heal yourself as much as you possibly can in the sense of, can you handle triggers? Are you still pining away and worrying about the narcissist? Are you even thinking about him anymore? Are you have you gotten rid of the anger? Have you let go of the anger and moved forward with your life? Have you built your self-esteem back up? Do you like yourself? Do you have hobbies and interests outside of just going to work? Um, do you have good inner self-talk? That's a big one, right? Because all of these things will come up in the next relationship, whether the relationship's healthy or not. And it can be challenging. So that's what I got for that. Does that make sense? Let's see. So, I mean, okay. No one is perfect. Be the best you can be every day, right? I tried to, oh, okay, where are we? Not ready, but I don't want to be alone. And that's okay. Then you make friends. Then you start figuring out where it is that you're struggling and start healing those places, right? Figuring, I mean, I don't know how long it's been for you or what your situation is, so I can't speak directly to it, but you work toward it. If you don't want to be alone, why don't you want to be alone? Could you be alone and be happy? And then that doesn't mean you have to stay alone. Does that make sense? Um, yeah, okay. I mean, you've said it before, making sure we keep boundaries. And oh, there's another one, boundaries. Thank you. Fixed coping for narcissists, and then keep continuous adjustment for trust for everyone else. Um, shouldn't we have boundaries for everyone, but that it's less absolute and extreme compared to the ones we have with narcissists in our life? Ooh. So yeah, your situation's unique because, well, not unique, but it's got the combination of having narcissists in your life and having none. If you're like me, you don't have any. So you have a different, like, I don't think of that so much. I can help talk to you about it, but it wouldn't, for my own personal life, I wouldn't think that way because I don't have any. And when I have to deal with a narcissist, I don't have boundaries. What I have is very clear lines and walls and minimal contact. So um so yes, you're right. There would be more hard lines. The line is not in the sand. The line is like absolute. You do not cross this line with a narcissist, and when they do, you back away. And with somebody else, of course, there's going to be more middle ground in between because you're, especially someone new, you're learning each other, and but you don't want someone pushing your boundaries either. So yeah, um, if you can have practice family situations with friends you trust, and okay. Um, yeah, I think I understood intuition as far as red flags. of a narcissist, but also learning to trust by degrees again. I'm going to think about that more and talk more about it another stream, Jack. That's a good one. I need to think about it and think of different situations to apply it to. I am 58 and pursuing love. Hello, Django Apple. I'm 58 and pursuing love equity. After all, marriage is a business decision. If you don't believe me, get a divorce. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Hmm. So do you mean equality and balance? And explain what you mean there. I'm not familiar with it as a term. I don't know all the terms in the world. So. Okay. Anything else, you guys, today on this? I think that's all I got for right now. And there's a lot more we could talk about, but I've got limited time here. So I'm waiting to see if there's more reply. Okay. I guess we'll end. I am Lise Colucci, and I am one of the life coaches over at queenbeing.com. If you need any help with anything related to narcissistic recovery from anything related to narcissists or healing or information, why, what, love, what, I think they mean like house equity. You should get out what you put into it. Yes. Well, I'm not I'd have to have the scenario. I'm thinking of yeses and nos to it, so I don't know. Don't understand what I mean. Okay, I'm not understanding the question, or it's not a question, the statement as it, applies. So that's my bad. I'm not getting it. So if you leave more, I will talk about it later or answer you. You're looking for a wealthy woman. Well, good luck. um, equally yoked would be my goal. Yeah, you know. And what we have to know what we want. And if that's what you want, then be honest, right? Okay. Um, right. All right, you guys. If you need any help with anything, like I said, head over to queenbeing.com. Lots of info, lots of help, lots of resources. If you need coaching, check it out in the main description of every video. There's also group coaching that is ongoing, all topics related to recovery from being around a narcissist, whether it be growing up with one, in a relationship with one is a boss, one is a coworker, whatever it is, having to deal with them in your life and the damage that they've caused in your life. If you need group coaching for that, head over, check it out down below. It's all there. It's all one group. It meets 3 times a week. It's great, great group. So, okay. All right. I'm gonna head out. I will see you guys next week. Have a lovely weekend. Bye bye.